And so the Canada Border Services Agency gave them an advantage that other bidders just did not have.
And what evidence did you find in your review of this work that demonstrated that connection between the influences that CBSA would have had on the public, the GC strategies had on CBSA, and what information? Was it emails, was it text messages, was it documents, was it letters that you found evidence to suggest that there was a direct influence here?
So in this case, it was correspondence, emails between the vendor and individuals who were setting out the request for proposal. It was exact word for word requirements that were then used in the process. I would also point you to the Procurement Ombud's report, who outlined many other requirements. We just gave you a sample of some, but these were all very restrictive and likely limited competition, and in the end did, as the only vendor who responded was GC Strategies.
Wow.
You have a brief question, Mr. Desjardins, but it would need to be brief.
Sure. In terms of those documents, would it be possible for some of that correspondence related to the example you outlined here to be shared with this committee in advance of our further studies?
We can go back through. I think it might already be shared with other parliamentary committees. We can go back through our file and see if we can locate that, although we will be here tomorrow, so I'm not sure that we'll get it to you in advance, but we'll do our best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Turning now to Ms. Block. You have the floor for 5 minutes. I understand you're sharing your time as well, but over to you.
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Hogan, and to those joining you for being here today. You know, from the beginning of the Government Operations and Estimates Committee study into ArriveCAN, we have been told by Liberal members across the table that there was nothing to see here, and in fact, you could probably look at past committee studies or meetings to see that that is exactly what they said when we were undertaking or wanting to undertake this study. Little did they know, I guess, that you would find, and you have mentioned several times, that there was an alarming lack of documentation throughout the procurement process for this app, which I think is in keeping with what the Procurement Ombudsman stated in his report. So time and time again, we have heard that we should cut the public service or servants some slack because it was during the pandemic. And we even heard it today in regards to public servants working from home. Do you believe the glaring disregard for basic mismanagement and contracting practices, as well as the lack of documentation, can be sufficiently excused by the fact that it was during a pandemic?
No, I said it in my opening remarks. I do not believe that an emergency is an excuse for throwing the rules out of the window. These are some really basic elements that I would have expected to see. Documenting a decision on who is being selected and why they have the skills to carry out the work that you need done. Basic bookkeeping factors that I would expect to see. Invoices well supported, making it clear what work should be charged to what project that's ongoing. I think that my advice to public servants would be to document as you go. And we saw other contracts throughout the pandemic, while had opportunities for improvement, were not as glaring as the lack of documentation that we see.
Thank you.